Sunrise Radio Yorkshire.
So tell us, you are the health ambassador of Coeliac UK, and it's important to be talking about celiac disease because it's so prevalent, but not all of us know about it, do we?
No, well, that's right. Celiac disease affects about 1 in 100 of the population. But 90% of patients with the condition are actually undiagnosed, which means there's about 500,000 people walking around out there with celiac disease undiagnosed. And of course, most people don't even know what celiac disease is.
So it's a bit like diabetes in a way, in that there's a lot of people walking around undiagnosed with diabetes, and that's because a lot of people just put the symptoms down to something else. Is that the same with celiac disease?
Well, yes. See, with celiac disease, it's not a food allergy. It's a reaction to a substance called gluten, which is found in wheat, barley, and rye. So gluten is in bread, pasta, pizzas, pastries, cakes, biscuits, even sauces, sausages, fish fingers. It can be hidden in many foods. And so if you have got this condition, which actually I have, and what you wouldn't believe is I've been health ambassador for Coeliac UK for several years. And 2 years ago, I actually developed the disease myself, so I'm a celiac patient as well. And the effect of having foods that contain gluten there are effects on your gut, on your intestines. So you can get symptoms like bloating, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. They're the symptoms I had, quite severe. You can actually get the opposite, you can get constipation. But then also, celiac disease can affect you without actually showing any gut or intestinal symptoms. For example, gluten damages the wall of your intestine, so you don't absorb your nutrients and minerals and vitamins. And I have actually developed osteoporosis, which is thinning of the bones, brittle bones, because I wasn't absorbing calcium from my diet. So there's one of the effects of celiac disease, osteoporosis. Another one is extreme tiredness due to anemia, again because you're not absorbing, the vital iron and vitamins needed there. And for women who have a problem with fertility or recurrent miscarriages should be checked for celiac disease. They don't, but they should, because it's one of the effects of celiac disease. Infertility and recurrent miscarriages also can cause skin disorders, depression, and in some cases even bowel cancer. So there are some widespread effects of this disease. And the campaign I'm leading is to say to people who have got celiac disease, make sure you get your family tested, because your family are 10 times more likely to get celiac disease than an ordinary member of the population. There can be a genetic link in the family.
Some listeners out there might think you mentioned gluten and what it can be found in, sausages and pizza, cake, bread, pasta, all your favourite stuff as such. Yeah. And so they don't want to come forward and because they don't want to miss out on that. But you don't nowadays. The diets that are available, you don't have to miss out, do you? Oh, no.
I'm 66. I was diagnosed when I was 64, so I've had to change my whole life style of eating, which is not easy to do. So the early weeks, it's difficult as you adjust. But in fact, there's a lot you can eat. You can have corn, potatoes, rice, meat, fish, eggs, cheese, yogurt, fruit and veg, pulses, peas, beans, lentils. And, of course, there are a lot of foods out there which are free from, they're labelled gluten-free, and more of those products are now coming on the shelves. All the supermarkets have free from sections, which are foods that are gluten-free.
And so really, there's no excuse. We can now bring down that average diagnosis period of 13 years, can't we, if we're becoming more aware?
Yeah, they must be aware of the symptoms. They must be aware if they have a family member. So, and I'm talking about the close family members. So, if one person's got the condition, their parents should be tested, their brothers and sisters should be tested, and their children should be tested. Now, the test is just a simple blood test that the GP can do. But if you go to have that test, you don't change your diet. You don't try and go gluten-free beforehand. You must continue with your normal diet, eating all your normal foods. Otherwise, you'll get a false negative result. And the thing is with this condition, there are so many people out there who have got IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which has similar symptoms, bloating, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and they're being treated for the IBS, but the symptoms aren't being controlled. Those patients could have celiac disease undiagnosed, and they need to have a blood test. And the average patient with celiac, they suffer 13 years before they get the final diagnosis.
It's staggering, that, isn't it? When it so easily, can be treated in terms of managing diets, can't it?
Yeah. I mean, no medication, no surgery. I mean, there's no cure. You have to follow a strict gluten-free diet for life. I mean, some of the gluten-free foods you can get on prescription, like bread and flour. And in the Bradford area, it's estimated there are at least 5,000 people in Bradford with celiac disease undiagnosed.
So if we have any symptoms like bloating, abdominal pain, nausea, constipation or diarrhea, wind, tiredness, anemia, headaches, mouth ulcers, recurrent miscarriages, don't just put it down to the perhaps time of year, or perhaps you were just thinking you're a bit run down or stressed because of work or whatever.
Yeah.
A simple blood test, get it checked.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. It's the thing is, especially if you have a family member, that's what I'm trying to stress in this campaign. I mean, those symptoms can be caused by other things, but if you do have certainly the bloating, abdominal pain and diarrhea, you should definitely get to your GP for a consultation and ask him about the blood test, but don't change your diet before you have the blood test. And what's interesting, I mean, Coeliac UK, 1,200 new people join Coeliac UK every month. So that's 1,200 new cases every month, and yet we've still got 500,000 people out there with the condition, and they don't know they've got it. And they're at risk of even a serious condition, a type of bowel cancer.
And you're the health ambassador for Coeliac UK, and they provide so much support, don't they, for people?
Oh, absolutely tremendous support. I mean, when you're diagnosed as a celiac, the big problem is obviously changing your diet. You've got to go gluten-free. And they produce a little book, Food and Drink Directory. Absolutely brilliant. It's got virtually any food you can buy on the shelves, the brand names, and drinks, what you can, what you can't. And that actually is my Bible. And it was my wife's Bible when I was first diagnosed. So we knew which foods were okay, which foods weren't okay.
And is there a website address for them?
Yes. Now, the website address is Coeliac. Now, let me spell celiac. It looks like like Sebco. Coeliac. Coeliac. Celiac.org.uk. And there's a helpline, which is 0845 305 2060.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you very much for doing that, then.
Okay.